Diversity. I'm sure that everyone has something to say or share on this topic. Diversity is actually a very broad and complex term. There is barely any exhaustive list of what it can involve, ranging from age, gender, race, to various aspects of cognitive and even neurodiversity, which I didn't know was a thing. The deeper you dig, the more complexity you come across. But one aspect which resonates with me the most, based on my own experience, is cultural diversity. As you can probably tell by now, English is my second language. I'm Russian. My partner is Polish. My brother lives in the United States and has recently moved in with his Asian American girlfriend. My manager is from Australia, with Irish heritage. My other colleague is from Bangladesh. Throughout my 15 years of my life in Australia, I've picked up friends from all over the world. I'm sure that each of you, either through your work, the membership with the ACC, or in your personal life, have come across people and had interactions with people from other cultural backgrounds. So what I want to do today is for a moment shift the focus on cultural diversity in a purely corporate context and away from the complex moral and ethical issues that surround this subject, to the individual and simple but yet wonderful things that can happen if one embraces cultural diversity. And I'll start with my own story. I was born in a small town in the middle of Siberia, in the middle of Eurasia in fact, or in the middle of nowhere. I love my hometown and I still go to visit. But as you can imagine, there is not exactly a queue of professional migrants, refugees or backpackers waiting to visit or settle down in the town. So I feel like I grew up in a very homogeneous culture. Sadly, when I was in school, making racist remarks towards anyone who looked different wasn't exactly frowned upon. So coming to Australia was eye-opening in so many ways. The first job that I landed here was in one of those chain pizza shops. At the time, most of the employees there were actually Brazilian. And to put it in the context, a stereotypical Russian is pretty grumpy, and there is some truth to that. So when I started working there, I kept wondering, why are my colleagues so smiley and cheerful, delivering those pizzas rain or shine? And over time, working there and with them had become a transformative experience for me in a way that taught me the importance of taking myself and my life less seriously and the importance of smiling and laughing more often. So for myself, I know that meeting someone from a different cultural background, through that experience, I was able to change the way I think and the way I behave to better. So here's the first one, growth. I believe that cultural diversity can actually be a great tool for someone who strives for growth. You can observe how people from other cultural backgrounds behave differently from what you're accustomed to and adopt some of their ways to your life to improve it. Closely tied to growth is learning and exploration. I would say that in some circumstances, you can pick up more from meeting people from other countries than from visiting the country itself, especially if you go for a short period of time. No matter how many monuments you visit or how much local food you eat, both of which are amazing, I feel like there is just nothing like a local speaking about their own experiences. I think that meeting people from other countries may inspire you to explore more. And when you do so, you'll go armed with useful tips and tricks, have a more meaningful experience, and will learn more. So this is how it played out for me. When I was younger and was still going to those random and fun house parties, I met a couple of French expats here in Sydney and became friends with them. And that had led to me falling in love with French language, French culture, and the country itself. I ended up living in France for a few months, and I'm still learning French. I'm a typical quitter when it comes to hobbies, but I'm determined to become fluent in French, even if it takes me another 10 years of rather inconsistent effort. So I believe that meeting people from other countries can lead to you picking up a new hobby, to learning new things, to exploring new places. If I take it up a notch, on an even lighter note, I think that more cultural diversity is simply more fun. If I think back to work, working in our small but rather diverse team is kind of cool. We have different ways we approach solving similar problems, different ways we spend our weekends, and different ways we interact with our families. And this certainly does add some vibrance to our catch-ups in the office, or over Zoom when no office is happening. You know, when I was in school, our principal organized for 2 American guys to come over to teach us English. That was the highlight of my primary school experience. Being able to talk to someone from a different country, from the United States, is just so much fun. And in the post-Soviet Russia, it was pretty much mind-blowing. In Australia, meeting people from other countries is nothing special, it's just our day-to-day. But it could be someone's once-in-a-lifetime experience. So much fun and super exciting. So here is the reminder not to take those opportunities and encounters for granted. Now that I've touched on my work environment and on my team, I want to highlight another benefit of cultural diversity that's related to work. Specifically, it's been said that mindful exposure to multiple cultures can help you cultivate cultural intelligence, or CQ. A fellow of EQ and IQ, CQ is to do with your ability to function effectively across multiple cultures. For example, a manager with higher CQ is likely to be more successful in motivating her team to smash their KPIs, because she'd be able to adopt a more nuanced approach, taking account of their cultural differences. It's actually been said that cultural intelligence may be critical to success in international workplaces. In cities like Sydney and London, it's equally important to national organizations, simply due to the diversity of our workplaces. Cultural intelligence cultivated through our social interactions can be transferred to work environment. It can help you be more at ease with your international colleagues and business stakeholders, help you be more productive and ultimately more successful in your career or profession. I've decided to actually run a basic Google search on what is the least diverse profession. And guess what showed up in the results? It is actually long. The results here are a little bit old, hopefully for a good reason, and it's no longer the case, but it certainly does reflect my experience. There are some defensible reasons, or I guess one defensible reason at least, for the lack of cultural diversity in the legal profession. You can't simply turn up from Russia and start practicing law in Australia. You have to go to uni and become admitted to practice in Australia. So there are some natural barriers to entry into the profession. But this is certainly not the whole picture, and there is definitely more that needs to be done in the profession on the diversity front. If there is one thing that I'd like you to take away from my talk, it is this: do not shy away from intercultural experiences and interactions. At times, it may feel like something outside of your comfort zone. It's much easier to stick with what's familiar. But I strongly believe that being more open has the potential to bring the best out in people, to help us grow and learn. And if for a moment we think of cultural diversity as something that is ultimately good for us, rather selfishly, if we overcome the fear of difference, there is actually a lot to be gained personally from being more open, from being able to learn from people from other backgrounds, from welcoming new experiences in our lives. In diversity, there is beauty and there is strength. These are the words by Maya Angelou, and I concur.